Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Full Pelt Music Podcast. Shortly, we'll be joined by Ryan Hamilton to talk about his new album, Haunted by the Holy Ghost, which is out on March the 10th. But before then, the usual reminders from myself. If you would, please do follow us on social media. We're on Facebook at Full Pelt and on Twitter and Instagram at Full Pelt Music. And if you would, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, wherever you're watching or listening. Well, welcome everyone to the Full Pelt Music Podcast, and most importantly, welcome Ryan Hamilton to the podcast. How are you today?
I'm very good, thank you. I was imagining just the level of applause that should happen.
Definitely should happen. We're working on it. I've got you on because I want to talk to you about what you're up to right now. And obviously, the most recent thing you've done is put out Haunted by the Holy Ghost, your fantastic new single, which listeners need to check out. And we'll have the link for listeners to do that in the bio of the podcast, if they haven't done so already. So what can you tell us about that song? What are the meanings behind that song, and how did it, come together for you?
Sure. So I was raised in a very conservative Church of Christ family, which I'm thankful for on one hand, because, it gives you a certain set of morals and things that maybe I would not have had otherwise. And let me say this now, I love my family. That's no fault of theirs. They're just doing what their grandparents did and their grandparents did. And You know what I mean? So, but I grew up going to church 3 times a week, twice on Sunday and on Wednesday. And even went to things like Promise Keepers and all I didn't know any different. So that became a part of me. And then I got older and kind of started to figure things out on my own. And I don't resent that part of my life or my childhood, but I felt and still feel, I'm going to use the word tricked a little bit. Again, no fault to my family, but because now a part of that is with me forever. And I didn't have any say in it. I didn't have, the ability to really have an opinion about it until I was an adult, because I wasn't mature enough to ask those questions and try and figure that out for myself. So this song is about that, just about being haunted, by that thing. It's a part of me forever. I'll never shake it. There are certain things that get ingrained in you when you're too young. Well, maybe not too young, but when you're young, right?
Yeah.
They're just going to be a part of you no matter what. And the song came from that. And I thought it was important for it not to feel too serious, for it to still be fun, because, just that title, Haunted by the Holy Ghost, is ridiculous anyway. You know what I mean? So I wanted to make sure that it had that attached to it, that it's just like, look, we can laugh about it. We can say this in a certain way, but it does come from a very serious place.
Yeah, it certainly does. And I guess kind of a relatable place for everyone, really. Perhaps not just on religious aspects, but of course, as a parent, you do impress on your children, be it hobbies, or just lifestyle. So I think everyone could probably relate to that.
Yeah, and again, everybody's doing their best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't resent my family or anything. No. I have certain things that I'm like, God, I kind of wish I wouldn't have had that happen in my life when I was a kid or whatever. But again, it's to your point, people are doing their best.
Exactly. I guess my foible, it would be impressing the football team or soccer team that I support onto my kids. That's the only team you're going to support. So again, definitely relatable for various reasons, and just a fantastic song, obviously, that I've really enjoyed listening to. So again, listeners definitely need to be checking that one out, and it's quite interesting to hear it after being aware of your career from the beginnings of it. Obviously, going back to football, there's a phrase of a journeyman, which is someone that has travelled and played for numerous clubs over their career. Of course, your music career has taken on different guises at different times. So what brought you to where you are now, as obviously Ryan Hamilton and the Harlequin Ghosts, and obviously putting out the different style of music now, obviously Americana type 60s, 70s influence music compared to the more indie music you were putting out. What kind of brought you to this point for you?
I think it's important to not ever make the same record twice. I feel like, if you keep the same core, there's no getting around. I sound a certain way. I ironically was made fun of for having a high whiny voice in school and all of that, but it's become something that I love and am proud of, and it's given me this career and this life. So that part of it is going to sound like me no matter what. So I think that if I go into it going, okay, I made this record already, I did this, I did that, and as far as the different names go, especially since I've been putting out music on my own, I screwed myself in a way because I wanted to be like Elvis Costello. I wanted to be like The Attractions, the whatever. Like, let's change the name every record. And, but really it's just me. It's when I go in the studio, make an album, I've had different people play on every single album. So when I started putting them out with different band names to be cool, I shot myself in the foot as far as Spotify goes, because there were like four different profiles. You don't think about this stuff, you know what I mean? So I kind of went, oh God, and people look at that. So you have promoters and booking agents going to see how many streams does this guy have? And we have to go, well, get your calculator out, because you're going to be adding up from different profiles. Anyway, so after we I say we, like my management and the powers that be, had that realization, we were like, let's just stick. The first record came out with just my name. So it's like, keep it that one profile. So even though, yes, there are different names, I still would have made the same records. And I would have tried to make them all, a little bit different with that same kind of core thing. I'll tell you something funny, not to go on too long about this, but we were getting everything ready for this new record and for the press. And it was brought to my attention, speaking of your journeyman thing, that I've been nominated for the past 14 years, almost every year, for some form of best new artist. And I don't know how that happened. Like, I'm old, I'm getting old. And it's just like, how am I stuck in this Groundhog Day? Like, what is going on? Like, I have to get past that. I don't know what that is, but it's so funny to me. It's like, okay, your favorite new artist of the past 14 years.
No, that is absolutely hilarious, actually. And it's really interesting to hear, because on the podcast we quite often delve into social media, and Spotify and the streaming sites, and actually it didn't strike me until you said it about the impact it would have on you to have gone under the different guises, and obviously how that kind of spreads your all important figures these days out, which it wouldn't have been a problem 20 years ago. But no. Oh no, fantastic. So I mean, this journey you've been on, and obviously the recent single, all are going to culminate on March 10th for you, when you have an album of the same name, Haunted by the Holy Ghost, coming out. So what should listeners who have either followed your journey throughout, or have discovered this new band, as you say, what should listeners expect from the album?
Well, first of all, can I curse on this?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah.
So the first track on the album is called Asshole.
Yes.
And it's the song people are most excited about. So I think that, in a way, defines what this record is. That song is not going to get played on the radio. It was never going to get played on the radio. I don't care. I'm to a point now where I'm just like, I felt like kicking the door down, doing whatever I wanted, not going in, going, okay, we're going to write this, but let's make it a certain way so people will really play it on radio. What I wanted to do was go in and make a record that I wanted to make without thinking of any of that, because that's really the only thing I haven't done yet, is go in without, ooh, this is going to be this, and isn't this going to be great? So the irony being there's a song called Asshole that everyone seems to think is going to be the biggest song I've ever done, because of course it is, of all the songs. And you can't even do the things we've done in previous records. You can't have a radio campaign. It takes away the opportunity to do all of the things we've done before. So we have had to get creative. We've had to do a lot of different stuff. And, to even have the potential headline, Ryan Hamilton's Asshole, finally breaks through. Or whatever. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But I've never been more excited, because I'm finally to a place where I really don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care. I don't care. I want it to be successful. I've never been more proud of a record. The label, everybody involved, it's like, oh my God. Like, how do you not love this record? Everyone's very excited. So I hope that answers your question. But to have a track called that, starting off the record, and the record itself it has a lot of depth. It's a really fun listen, but it is a songwriter album in a lot of ways, but it's a rock and roll record that's fun to listen to.
Which is the most important thing for a listener, surely. And it's fantastic to see you beaming like you are, and obviously so excited about the record, because again, the artists I talk to on the podcast, quite often, as we've talked about, streaming numbers and all of that kind of stuff, and there's a big machine normally that has to follow releasing music, and the industry is very difficult to navigate these days, and always from the start it should be an industry that is about making listeners happy with what they're listening to, but of course, most importantly, you as an artist being happy in what you're doing and what you're putting out. So it's so refreshing, to hear and to see you so excited about it. And hopefully, the listeners will agree and get equally excited about it and check it out when it comes out. That's the key thing.
I think they will.
I think they will. Certainly based on the songs I've heard, they'd be foolish not to. And it's great that you just touched on the record label, because I did have a note jotted down. Obviously, it's coming out on Wicked Cool Records from Stevie Van Zandt. So I just wanted to say, what has that experience been like for you working with that label?
Oh my God, it's incredible. So he sends me voice notes. He gets his phone out. I send him a demo, right? He gets his phone out. He gets an acoustic guitar. You hear him. I have, I don't know, 100 of these. And then he learns my song in about 10 seconds. He just goes, gang, 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 gang. Because those E Street Band guys are all so knowledgeable and know music theory so well. He can kind of figure it out real quick, which is amazing, sort of insulting, but really fun, right? So he'll go, this is great, but try this. And he'll send me these notes. And that always improves the song. He's never done that and me not implement that change or that direction. That being said, let me say this first. I have made him mad a couple of times, and to have Silvio from The Sopranos yell at you on the phone, if anybody's a Sopranos fan, I don't know if you are or not, but to have that coming back at you on the phone or in person is terrifying. So that has happened a couple of times. So of course I want him to be happy, and I've been very fortunate to have delivered and had albums that are successful with him. But with this record, I sent him the demos. He didn't send any notes back, and he went, this is the first group of demos. He went, this is career suicide. Do not do this. These songs, this is not it. Like, whatever these songs are, Ryan, this is not it. Because I wanted to make like a country record, if I'm being honest. I really did. I was like, I really want to, like, I've been off. I'm at home. Let's make a country record. Like, what's going on? And he went, basically, if you want to commit career suicide, we'll support you, and you can do it if you want, but please don't. So I licked my wounds. I went away and came back with the songs that are on the record now. And it's the first time ever since working with Stevie that he did not send notes in a good way this
Yeah.
time, and was just like, it's fantastic. He was proud of me. He was just tweeting me earlier today for the world to see how, great it is. And even his wife, Maureen, who was also in The Sopranos. And to have that from that, the pinnacle of the music business, music history, Bruce Springsteen, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, all of that. It doesn't get much better to have that person behind you, believing in you, telling you you're doing amazing,
No, precisely. Like you say, it really can't get much better than that, can it? That's fantastic. And quite quite funny, I guess, is the word, obviously, with the first demos that were sent across. But honesty is a good trait. So fantastic.
It's the best.
Exactly, and hopefully it's been the right thing and has worked out. So I'm going to move on to the live side of the industry now. Which is probably, certainly for me, my favourite side of it. I would like to say we all love getting in a room together, and that's something you've been able to start doing again. Obviously, we all had to stop because of the pandemic, and I'm aware that you were able to come across the UK last year for a full tour around the country. So what are your memories of that, and what was it like for you to get back out on the road after the COVID years?
Oh man, it was joyous. That's the word I seem to use over and over when people ask. It just, to get back in a room and everyone is like, after however long they waited, and have that big loud rock and roll show. There were still some people. I mean, we played some smaller places and there was still a little bit of caution. You felt that a little bit, but I would say 90%. And, I think half the shows were sold out. The other places, no. But with the exception of that little bit of caution, it was just joyous and fun. And, when you go play shows in support of a record or whatever, you're just on tour all the time. If you're one of those guys, the thing that feels the best is to play a song in front of a hopefully large crowd and have them sing with you or back to you. And when you haven't experienced that in years, and you're not getting that, I don't think I realized how important that was to my emotional state, to my mental health, to all of that. So when I got that again after not having it for 3 years, it was like, I don't know, dopamine. Just, is that the right one?
Yeah.
It was just like a rush of joy. That's what it felt like. And just looking at the calendar for this year, it's if everything stopped right now, it would be the biggest year I've ever had calendar wise. And nothing's been announced yet, but to know that I'm going to have that for the rest of the year again, is an amazing feeling.
Yeah, definitely. Being a fan, it was amazing to get back, and I can only imagine what it was like for you as an artist to do that. And again, you're not the first musician I've spoken to who's spoke of the benefits to their mental health of getting back out and playing them shows and not realizing quite how much impact that had on them. Which is, thank God, of course, that we can now go out and do that again, which is fantastic. So I got to see you last year. We talked before we started recording the podcast a little bit about where we are, where we live. So there's a place not too far from me called Sudbury, and there's a festival called Leastock that you got to appear at last summer, and it was a really eclectic lineup. Because there was the Foundations, Stereo MCs, Electric Six, Ash, and Ryan Hamilton as the acts I was able to catch there. So I just wanted to ask you, what your experience of that festival was last year.
I had a great time. So I really like to, well, first of all, I pride myself in being good live and entertaining people, and I've really I've worked hard for it, but I have a really great reputation as far as that goes. And I knew Leastock was a family festival, so I'd already been, what's a good word, warned by my manager, hey, you got to keep it together. You can't, because they know I'll go out there and curse and do whatever just for fun. I'm not angry. I'm just having fun, and it's fun, you know. And Asshole was on the set list at that festival. We were trying the song out at those summer festival shows, and I remember the conversation like, are you really going to play this? Can you play this song? It's like, I can play the song. Anyway, so went out, and the look of shock on about half the people, and just like absolute, I don't know, I'm going to use the word joy again on the other half. Like, what is going on here? That was my favorite thing about that festival. Not only is it run by an incredible group of people, but so behind the scenes, it's really fun. But to look out and see that combination, that's my favorite thing anyway, to surprise and kind of keep people on their toes, but at the same time, bring them all around together. Like, okay, you know, this is really fun. And that's what I remember from that festival, is looking out, seeing the kids, and in my mind going, okay, I can't say this, and this, because there are children here. And you have the little devil on the other shoulder going, let's play Asshole. So, yeah, really, really great time there. And I want to come back this year, so we'll see. But I would love to come back every year and do it, just because the experience that first time was so much fun.
Yeah, and I mean, first of all, I'll echo the sentiments you started off with about, you know, your live reputation and having caught you live in different guises. Again, listeners, I agree with that, and you need to check Ryan out when he comes and plays near you. And yeah, I had my kids there actually. And
oh, did you? Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, my kids. To be fair, my kids are probably overly exposed to that kind of language through me listening to all kinds of music in front of them anyway. But I did have to chuckle at where we were positioned. There were a lot of families around us as well, and you could see the mixture, as you say. Probably mostly the mums sort of tutting away, and the dads going, yeah.
But honestly, it's my favorite. Like, to watch that go down, it's my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely fantastic. And I say, like you said, great festival, really eclectic lineups every year, especially last year. I just looked at it and I caught your name on there. Again, as someone that, you know, I'm aware of your career, and I was just like, how does Ryan Hamilton get booked onto this festival with the Foundations, and then obviously Electric Six and Stereo MCs who are kind of a garage sort of house type music in the UK. I just thought, wow, okay, yeah, but no, it worked really, really well, and obviously had a fantastic time, as listeners will when they hopefully come and check you out. So you say you've got plans ahead for the next year. Obviously, a lot of them aren't announced, and obviously that's part of that little machine that goes on. But you know, I assume there will be an opportunity for fans in the UK to catch you live this year.
Absolutely, and more than once. So, well, I think twice, but so it's not a whole lot more than once. But
double.
There will be a tour that's about to get announced. I'm not sure when this goes out, but a big tour will get announced that takes me across the UK, all into Europe, Spain, Sweden, Germany. It's the biggest tour I've ever been on, so I'm thrilled. And then hopefully summer festivals again in the UK. And we'll see what happens in the fall. We'll see what happens with this new record and where it kind of does well. Of course, I hope it does well in the UK, and if so, I'll come back in the fall. Hopefully with a hit record. Hopefully with a hit called Asshole that everybody wants to sing.
And yeah, I'm sure the UK will appreciate it, because another point I just wanted to make, as well as, again, having followed your career, the UK has almost seemed like a home from home for you. I just wanted to get your thoughts on it. Is that something you would agree with? You know, has the UK been kind to you, as it were?
Yeah, well, you guys don't mind. You actually seem to enjoy crude humor. So it was like me getting unleashed, unshackled, all of when I went to the UK and started playing shows there. And that, to me, is a gift that I'm forever thankful for. The UK does feel like home to me in a lot of ways because of that, because I was welcomed. So just like, I wasn't judged. It was just like, who's this weird guy? He's really funny. Oh, his songs are really good, and I felt that immediately in that country. Just like, we got you, we love you. Not once have I ever done or said something and people gone, oh my God, that's, and I wouldn't really take it that far anyway, but you know what I mean? So that in your country, man, I love it. Everybody's been so good to me, and to have the chart success and the technical success on the record side is one thing, but to have the audience stick with me and come to the live shows, especially after the last few years, it's just like, okay, these people really do, like, they got me. They're family, and it feels like that. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. I'm imagining there is a big core that has followed you through your career, and then of course, obviously, every album you get all the new fans because you're a new band every album. So you get all the new fans. That's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. Best new artist, 14
exactly.
years running.
Fantastic. So we're coming to the end of the podcast, and this is where I always highlight for listeners. Obviously, the album's coming out, and there are some shows going to get announced. And of course, we touched on it. Social media is the place now where everyone needs to go to keep track of what everyone is doing. So I've got the handles down. So listeners, if you are already not following Ryan on social media, you need to do so on Instagram and Twitter at the Ryan Hamilton, and on Facebook at Ryan Hamilton and the Harlequin Ghosts. And I believe you are dabbling slightly on YouTube as well now, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm on YouTube. I started doing the shorts in my like YouTube shorts. They just showed me a stat that said that my views and subscribers have gone up 240% because I've been posting these ridiculous videos that were part of a PR kind of game plan, just kind of grumpy, like Billy Mack from Love Actually, like that kind of thing. He was used as a reference. So yes, I'm on YouTube now. If you're not easily offended, head on over there and the rest of the internet and find me.
Yes, listeners, definitely do it, and definitely check out Haunted by the Holy Ghost, the single, which will be linked in the bio, and the album when it comes out on March the 10th. So Ryan, the last question that I've been asking all artists over the last month or so that I've spoken to relates to independent venues here in the UK. I perhaps wouldn't normally ask an American artist such a question, but as you are so affair with the UK, I will throw it in there. We've got Independent Venue Week coming up in about 3 weeks' time. And of course, the venues, in the grassroots areas of this country are so important to cultivating the new talent, such as yourself. But obviously, as well as the UK talent, they're so important for artists from Europe and America and the rest of the world to be able to come and play in the UK. So I'm just asking all artists if they've got a venue they want to give a shout out to in the UK.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Well, there will be several, but let me just rattle off a few. The Musician in Leicester, really great little venue. Love that place. The Bodega in Nottingham. And let me think. Water Rats in London.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop there because I could go on and on and on and on. But there's some really great venues, some of which, have been there for a long time. Water Rats in London. Sorry, my dog is going to just require my attention. You can say hi. This is Peaches.
Oh, hi, Peaches. Oh, beautiful.
But yeah, those independent venues, especially places like Water Rats that feel like that old school. The Musician in Leicester feels like that too. The Bodega is a little bit newer, but still same kind of vibe. We got to keep those alive, especially somebody like me from Texas. You go to England and you want that. You want those kinds of venues because it feels the way you imagine an old school UK rock and roll show feeling like.
Yeah, definitely so important to the ecosystem of the music industry, and so important we keep them alive in such difficult times. And it's been absolutely fantastic chatting with you, Ryan. Real pleasure. Is there anything that you would like to say to listeners to close us out?
There is. This is what I want to say, and you've been wonderful. This has been a lot of fun. So my last album came out and charted 2 spots down from Taylor Swift on the official charts. When Folklore came out, she was number 8, I think. I think it was like Neil Young or Cat Stevens. I don't remember. And then there was me. Taylor Swift is playing stadiums, right? I do okay if I sell out a club in England, right? I would really love for this album with a first track called Asshole to show that a 41-year-old man who's been teetering on whatever big success is for a decade can finally tip the scales. And Taylor Swift, good for you. It's amazing. But something is very wrong in the music business whenever you're 2 spots down and she's doing that and I'm doing my best and paying my bills. But that's about it for people like me. And I'm thankful for it. Yeah. But can we bridge that gap a little bit for the love of God? Like, it's time. Artists like me, I mean, I hate to say it, but we deserve it. There shouldn't be that big of a difference.
There shouldn't be.
You know what I mean? There shouldn't be. So yeah, go buy the record and let's show people that a man approaching middle age from Texas can be your favorite new artist once again.
Excellent. And I'd absolutely love to see it, and I'd love to see our soul sitting in the charts somewhere. That'd be absolutely fantastic. Ryan, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you for joining us on the podcast.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. I really do hope you enjoyed that chat there with Ryan Hamilton. Make sure you check out his new album, Haunted by the Holy Ghost, on March 10th. And of course, follow him on social media. You can also follow Full Pelt on social media. We're on Facebook at Full Pelt and on Twitter and Instagram at Full Pelt Music. And finally, if you would, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button wherever you're watching or listening, because we'll be back very soon with another episode of the Full Pelt Music Podcast.